Live. I'm Maddie.
I'm Greg, and all together now,
We
are live!
If you are new here, we are all about fun, facts, makes, science experiments, quizzes, and you.
Yes, last week was all about pets.
And the week before that, we were talking about superhero science.
Yeah, we were. This week, though, is all about...
Well, we are off on a journey through the sands of time.
Yes, we're putting on our archaeologist hats. And for the next 3 shows, we are exploring the wonders of Ancient
Egypt. Yeah. On Wednesday, we are going to be finding out what life might have been like for the ancient Egyptians, and we'll be discovering some of the things that they invented, like papyrus paper and hieroglyphics.
Yeah, on Friday, we are going to be talking to an actual real-life archaeologist.
Oh, yeah.
Who's going to tell us about some of ancient Egypt's most famous archaeological digs, including Tutankhamun's tomb.
Tutankhamun's tomb. But today we are starting our ancient Egyptian adventure with something you might recognise. What is it? Pyramids! Yeah! Today we are going to uncover the secrets of how the pyramids were built.
Maddie?
Yes.
What would you find inside a pyramid, inside an ancient Egyptian tomb?
Okay, you would probably find sand.
Yes.
You would find sort of secret chambers that were full of treasure.
Oh, yeah.
You might find booby traps.
Yeah.
What else?
We love ancient Egypt. There's one thing you've missed.
Mummies.
Mummies. We are going to be unwrapping mummies later in the show.
Hello.
What was that?
Where did that sound come from?
Is it back there somewhere?
I think is it coming from back in the corner of the room?
Let's just ignore it.
All right,
Just ignore it.
All right,
Carry
then move on.
Fine.
Let's start our adventure by finding out where and when we are in history right now.
Yes, let's start with the where.
Okay, well...
No? Yeah, okay.
The
Where, when, I don't
whatever.
mind. Whatever you want.
The ancient Egyptian civilization, it began 5,000 years ago here.
Well, there's the when. Okay, there's the where. Let's zoom in.
So there we go, that's Egypt, and now we've got a closer look. The ancient Egyptians lived along the lower Nile River, and this is where modern Egypt is today.
So this was a great spot because that Nile River that you can see snaking down there is a fantastic source of water.
Mm-hmm.
But more about that in our next episode.
The ancient Egyptian civilization, they lived there for over 3,000 years.
3,000
Yeah.
years. That is a big number.
It is a huge amount of time. It's almost quite hard to sort of comprehend how long that is. So this is one way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, during the ancient Egyptian civilization, the people were ruled by the pharaohs. They were kind of like the kings and queens of the time, right? And perhaps one of the most famous pharaohs, you might know her name, was Cleopatra. And Cleopatra was the last true pharaoh. So Cleopatra, she was born in 70 BCE.
Okay.
But what that means is that Cleopatra lived closer in time to the invention of the iPhone than she did the construction of the pyramids.
No. Hang on.
So
Say that again.
right, so you've got the construction of the pyramids,
Yeah.
birth of Cleopatra,
Yes.
the iPhone.
Yes.
Cleopatra lived closer to the invention of the iPhone than the construction of the pyramids.
Probably the best fact bomb we've ever had on Let's Go Live.
Isn't that amazing? So that's how long this civilization were around for.
Wow. Okay, so we're talking pharaohs.
Yeah.
We're talking pyramids.
Yes.
This is so cool. Tell us more.
All right. Well, the pharaohs were really big deals, as I'm sure you've gathered. People actually believed that the pharaohs were living gods on earth, and that when they died, they would go on to live in an afterlife, a never-ending afterlife amongst the gods.
Gotcha. Now, the gods were very, very important to the Egyptians. The ancient Egyptians worshipped over 2,000 gods.
Yeah.
So to protect the pharaoh's body after they died, the bodies were placed inside really impressive tombs. And that would keep them safe. And also those tombs would hold everything that the pharaoh would need on their journey into the afterlife.
And those tombs were sometimes built in the shape of
Pyramids.
So the pyramids were impressive tombs for Egyptian royalty, ancient Egyptian royalty.
Now, the most famous pyramid is the one we showed you at the start, the Great Pyramid.
Yes.
That pyramid was built for Pharaoh Khufu. I have
here he is.
a Khufu here. Here you go.
Not actually a picture, but that's a little sculpture that was found of Pharaoh Khufu. Cool fact for you. The Great Pyramid is one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. But of those 7 ancient wonders, the Great Pyramid, which is sat amongst the pyramids of Giza, is the only one that still remains and can be seen today.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I actually got to go and see the pyramids of Giza. I got to go here where this photo was taken. It was many, many years ago. And it was incredible.
But that photo is sort of a little bit deceiving, isn't it?
Yeah, because what you don't realise is that the city of Cairo is actually very close to the pyramids of Giza. So what you hear is the Cairo Orchestra, or whatever it's called. Honk, honk, car horns, honk,
which is the sound of the city.
You'd think the desert would be super peaceful.
So if you turn that camera around, actually you'd see a
see
busy, bustling city
and
all the tourists taking photos.
It was still an incredible place from history to travel to. It was amazing.
A big question about the pyramids, though, is how on earth did the ancient Egyptians build them in the first place? I mean, the pyramids, they were built at a time when the ancient Egyptians hadn't even discovered the wheel yet.
Stop. What? So hang on, think about this. Hang on, here's another one of these. So the pyramids were built at a time when the ancient Egyptians didn't even have a wheel.
No, the wheel existed, but the ancient Egyptians hadn't discovered it yet, so they weren't using wheels.
Okay.
So you can't even roll anything.
No. So this is a big, big puzzle, right, for modern day archaeologists.
Yeah, I mean, without wheels and heavy modern machines, how on earth did they go about cutting and moving and piling up that many heavy rocks and just arrange them into almost like a perfect 3D shape? Some people think it was so impressive for the technology they had at the time that they were probably just put there by aliens.
Now, hang on. It was incredibly impressive for the technology you had at the time, but they were not aliens who did it. No. Science, engineering, technology, maths.
People.
That people power is what enabled the building of the pyramid. Do you want to know more? All right, good. I'm glad you say so. Right. There are 130 or so pyramids.
That have been discovered so far.
Yeah, they've been discovered so far. And they were all built in slightly different ways, different designs. So we are going to talk about the big one. All right, that one, here it is again, the Great Pyramid. Right, let's start with the shape. Look at the shape. Pyramids are 3D shapes. They've got a base and they've got these triangles at the side. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can make a pyramid. So let's go to this camera. This pyramid I've made here has a triangle base. So it has a triangle as the base. And then it has 3 triangles as the sides, right? And they meet at the top. And you have there a triangular pyramid.
Triangle-based pyramid.
All right. But some pyramids have a square base. See how that's a square?
Yeah.
And with that time, they're going to need 4 triangles. 4 triangles that meet together at the top. And that there is a square pyramid, or a square-based pyramid.
Okay.
And that is what the Great Pyramid is.
Because the base of the Great Pyramid is roughly a square.
Yeah, and there are 4 triangles around the side.
We've actually been building some of our own pyramids.
Oh, can I show you my square pyramid?
That can be a little tease. Coming back to that in a minute, because first of all, we want to focus on how the ancient Egyptians probably built the Great Pyramid. And we've got 3 big questions that we are going to attempt to answer based on what archaeologists have discovered.
Gotcha.
Okay, the first question is, where did they get all of that stone from to build them in the first place? They're in the middle of the desert. When it was built, the Great Pyramid was 140 metres high.
That's really
and
high.
At its core, it contained over 2 million stone blocks.
My jaw is doing this a lot through the show.
I know. How do you do it? You don't have a wheel. Nothing.
2 million stone blocks. Where did those stone blocks come from?
Yeah.
Actually, they came from under their feet. Have a look at this, right? A lot of the outside was made of a rock called yellow limestone. Here it is. You can see those big blocks of yellow limestone. And that was dug out of the ground right next to the pyramid. It's one of the reasons that the Giza pyramids were built where they were, because they had all that limestone there. They could just cut it up and make it.
So don't bring the materials to you, bring your building site to the materials.
Exactly.
Very smart.
Yeah.
But remember, they didn't have machines, so those limestone blocks, every single one of them had to be cut and chiselled out of the ground.
Amazing.
That must have taken so long. In fact, archaeologists think it probably took about 20 years for a huge team, to build the Great Pyramid.
It wasn't all made of that yellow limestone, though. There was another type of rock, a heavier rock, and they used it inside the chambers. So check this out. That's a rock called granite. right?
Ah.
And archaeologists think that granite was carried down the River Nile on boats.
Right, so the granite wasn't by the pyramids of Giza, so they had to find another way to get it to the building site.
Yeah.
So they used the Nile, and they used the Nile for so many things. Okay.
Question
all right, then.
number 2.
Okay, so we know sort of where we got the materials from.
Yes.
But next question is, how did they then get those materials, get the stones across the sand to where they were building the pyramid?
Okay, well, we have a clue for the answer to this second question, all right? And that is some ancient wall art. Have a look at this. Have a look. What can you see?
Well, lots of things. There are definitely lots and lots of people.
There are a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Archaeologists think it would have taken more than 1,000 people, right, to cut those blocks and move those blocks with the help of lots of animals, probably as well. But that is a lot of people. It's 1,000 people, a lot of people. But for the pharaohs, it was worth it.
Well, yeah, they wanted their pyramid to go to the afterlife and hang out with the gods, so that makes sense.
Have another look at this picture.
Okay, because actually there's some more clues there. Can you look at sort of like that big sculpture? So we can see that it looks here like there's a sled that might be dragging an enormous stone sculpture.
However, right, can we try something?
Yeah, let's have a think about what it would actually be like to drag a sled across the sand.
Dragging a sled across the sand is really hard.
Yeah, just think about how hard it is to, if you've ever had a chance to run or walk across the sand, then you have an idea of how tricky that is. But I want to show you something.
Okay, so let's have a look. Don't worry, I'll move to you.
Thank you.
There
We have our makeshift desert here. So here we go. This is sort of like loose sand as you'd find in a desert. This is our sled, and I filled it with some heavy rocks. But watch what happens when we pull it along. Oh, look what's happening there.
Oh, all that sand is getting bunched up in front of it, and it's making it harder and harder and harder.
Yeah, this here where the sand is bundled up is called a berm, but it's actually making it's making the sled heavier, and it's much harder to pull through the sand. So,
how do we make it easier? Well, let's have a look at that wall art once again, right? Here it is. And this time I want to zoom in on the front of the sled, right? Have a look at this. Look, look, look.
What can you see?
What is going on there?
Well, it looks like somebody is pouring something in front of the sled onto the sand.
Shall we?
Let's have a try.
Let's try this out, right? Let's try this out. Let's try this theory out.
If we return to our desert,
So this time,
on the other side of our tray here, I've actually dampened this sand, and I've also stomped it down, so we can imagine that the feet of lots of people and workers would have trampled this. But now I'm going to get a little bit of water, and just like we can see that person doing in the wall art, I'm just going to dribble just a little bit, not very much, just a small amount. And now watch what happens when we pull the sled. Notice what's different.
Oh, so easy. Look, nothing bunches up in front. That looked like
I'm
that
going to go backwards. Maybe I can even do it again, actually.
That looked like that took a lot less effort.
Lot less effort. Pouring the water onto the sand and then sort of flattening it down, maybe with the weight of people, or just like I did with my hands. It made the sand stick together. It's slicker and it's become a firmer surface. So you can drag heavy rocks across it more easily.
So this is what we think that the ancient Egyptians did, and that came from that clue of that wall art.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Nice.
The final question, though, question number 3, is how did they then stack those big rocks on top of each other to form the pyramid shape? And this is still up for debate, right?
Okay.
One popular idea is that they used ramps.
Yeah, there are some evidence of ramps.
So here's a ramp, right? A way to use a lot of people power, of course, to pull that heavy rock up the slope, use posts and ropes and animals and heave it into position.
So yeah, you can drag heavy things up a ramp. It's hard, but when you've got that many people, it's okay. But we don't know exactly what these ramps would have looked like when they were building the Great Pyramid. The best guess, or a popular idea, is that there might have been a long, wide ramp that would have sort of been going to the base of the pyramid, and this is where they would have dragged large, heavy stones.
Yeah.
And then perhaps that led to a spiral ramp that went all the way around the pyramid to the very top. So you've got a long one here, and then a spiral all the way up, and that's how they would have got the smaller stones up there. Just dragged them up there.
What do you lot think? That's the thing with history. You've got to have a look. You've got to find the evidence. find the archaeological remains.
There are lots of opinions. We're just telling you, one of the most popular ones, really. Remember, though, the pyramids, it was not built by a small construction team with machines. It was built by thousands of people, communities of people over 20 years. So, yes, it would have been hard. It would have taken a lot of patience, but it was possible, even then.
We've got a little challenge for you, a little task that will also involve your patience and your problem-solving skills. We want you to build a pyramid.
Yeah.
Now,
You kind of got a little tease of what our pyramid looks like.
You can use anything that you've got around the house, but we are going to use marshmallows and little toothpicks, cocktail sticks.
Popular construction materials here on Let's Go Live. You can't go wrong with some toothpicks and marshmallows. Careful though, because toothpicks are pointy. So if you do decide to use these, then just be careful.
I shouldn't have eaten a marshmallow. I was about to explain how to make it.
We've eaten a lot of marshmallows in the last 2 days. I don't want any more.
We're going to make a square-based pyramid, okay? So we're going to start by taking 4 of these.
Yeah.
And we're going to connect them together into a square on the base. Now, they do have sharp, pointy ends, so do be careful while you're doing this. But just like that, we've got ourselves, and I'll lift this up so you can see it on the camera. Just like that, we've got ourselves a square base.
4 sides.
Now, we need to make those 4 triangles around the side. And we're going to, again, take our little sticks, and we're going to put them in at an angle like this, pointing towards the middle at the top. And then the last marshmallow is going to go boink, boink, doink, doink, like this. And there, you've got yourself a square-based marshmallow pyramid.
Lovely. Thanks for all of your comments in the live chat, by the way. Sam says that is so clever when he was looking at how the Egyptians poured water. The ancient Egyptians poured the water on the sand. Very clever idea indeed.
Everyone's very surprised that the marshmallows are still around and that we didn't polish them off.
It was a close call. It was a close call.
We thought ahead about how many we'd probably eat.
The Great Pyramid wasn't the first pyramid built by the ancient Egyptians. They'd actually built some smaller ones first, and they'd already tried and tested different ways of building pyramids. So, it's a good idea to have a practice before you then make something bigger.
We made a practice one, that size.
Yeah.
And then we thought we'd make it bigger.
Oh!
We have 3 layers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 marshmallows.
Not bad.
Not bad.
It's not quite up to the standards of the Great Pyramid, though, is it? So we decided to make ourselves a great marshmallow pyramid.
Ready?
And we think it really is great.
Bum, 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 bum. Look at the size of this one.
I love it. It's kind of hypnotic to look at, isn't it?
This one has 5 layers. And each one is connected. Here you go. Have a good old feast your eyes on that. Look at that. Oh, yeah.
It might focus, actually, if we just leave it there.
If we hide.
If we hide. Yeah, it's focused. There you go. Look.
We're very proud of that.
It's very beautiful.
That took a lot of teamwork and a lot of patience and a lot of problem solving. If you don't have marshmallows and little pointy sticks at home, use what you've got.
Yeah, you could snap some dry spaghetti up if you don't have toothpicks.
That's a good idea.
You don't even have to use marshmallows. This is just what we did. You might just want to make your pyramid out of some recycled cardboard, a little bit like the shapes Greg showed you earlier on.
Or if there's some snow outside, like we've got snow outside, you can make a snow pyramid.
Snow pyramids.
We even got sent a couple of mashed potato pyramids.
Mashed potato pyramids.
They were amazing.
Yeah, if you make a snow pyramid, you got to be quick because it might melt.
That's very true.
Yeah, so there's an extra challenge. If you do have a go at making your own square-based pyramids, and please do ask a grown-up to take a picture, and you can always send it to our email address, and it might appear in our next episode all about ancient Egypt.
Yes.
There it is again.
What is that?
It's definitely coming from that thing behind you.
Oh, the sarcophagus.
The sarcophagus. You know what, though? We've got a live show to do. Let's just carry on ignoring it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Should we just ignore it?
Yeah, just ignore it.
Okay, fine, good, great.
Can't be anything to worry about.
Nothing to worry about. No,
So
okay.
we've sort of talked about how the ancient Egyptians could have built the Great Pyramid, and we know that they were built as tombs for the pharaohs, to honour them in the real world, but also to protect them when they died as they journeyed into the afterlife.
But just the pyramids, just the outside of the pyramid isn't enough. You've got to think about what goes inside for the pharaoh. And inside, the chambers looked amazing. All right, here are the insides. Look at them.
Yeah, there's chambers of some other pyramids and Egyptian tombs.
They're full of treasures and gold and games, lots of the pharaoh's belongings, and anything else that people thought would help that person in the next life. And we're actually going to be talking about one of the most famous tombs, Tutankhamun's tomb.
Bit more on that
on Friday
on our Friday show.
Yeah.
But building the pharaohs, an amazing pyramid, and filling it with treasures, that wasn't enough either. The ancient Egyptians, they did something special to the bodies of royals, wealthy people. They did something to the bodies when they died. What do you think they might have done?
What do you think? Oh, we are going to have to...
Should we deal with it?
We're going to have to find out
Okay,
what it's making that noise.
Greg.
Is it moving?
Did it just move? Did you see it move?
How is that moving?
I don't...
What? What on earth is...
Oh, it's only Dave.
It's Dave.
It's only Dave in the
Dave.
sarcophagus.
Come here, Dave. What are you doing, mate?
Okay.
He looks a bit wound up.
Does anyone here know what Dave might be dressed as right now?
I think my mummy would know. It's a mummy.
It's a mummy.
Dave
Dave
is a
is
mummy.
dressed up as a mummy. And actually, that's kind of answered my question. Because pharaohs, royals, and wealthy people, they were often turned into mummies after they died.
Yeah. Why, though?
So,
Dave, why?
mummification, turning things into mummies, was a way of preserving things, of preserving a body.
Yes.
Because the ancient Egyptians believed that they would need that body in the next life. But it was a really long process.
How long did it take?
Oh, it was something they took lots of care over, but it could take up to 70 days.
Oof.
And it involved lots of lots of different steps. Sometimes there were prayers and spells, all that were there to help protect the person as they went onwards.
Some of those steps are a little bit icky, so we're not going to go into them.
No.
You can have a little research of that with the family if you want to afterwards.
But we are going to talk about the main bits, though. The whole point of mummification, as we've said, was to preserve. But what does it mean to preserve something? You right there?
Just having a snack.
Having a little snack.
snack.
What are you eating?
Well, some of the foods that we eat are preserved.
Yes.
These are pickles.
Yeah, we might pickle vegetables, like you got some gherkins there,
Yeah.
some little gherkins, because it's a way of keeping them in our cupboards and keeping them edible for longer.
Still
So
hungry.
vinegar is one way we can preserve food. You all right?
Oh, come on.
Yeah, another little snack.
Jam.
Jam. Yeah, we can use sugar to preserve fruit. So sometimes we might turn fruit into jam using sugar. And again, it helps to keep the fruit lasting longer so we can eat it long after we would be able to if we just left it fresh. Salt. Salt is another way we might preserve food too. You can get salted fish, salted meats, and salted vegetables, things like that. So that is kind of what preserving does.
Mmm.
You okay? Shall I continue? You got a mouthful?
I was peckish.
Gherkins, jam, and marshmallows. Delicious combination.
Mm. You preserve something to help protect it. That's the whole point of doing preservation.
Yeah. You're making it last a bit longer. And we have a preservation experiment for you.
No, I've just eaten it all.
It's all right. I've got some more down
Okay,
here.
good.
We're going to mummify some apple slices. We are going to mummify some apple slices.
Yeah, we are. It's going to spook you to the very core.
Yeah. When the ancient Egyptians preserved the bodies of pharaohs to help them in the next life, they would dry the bodies out and then they would coat them in something called natron, which was a type of salt mixture. And then they would wrap them in sort of linen sheets like our little Dave has done here.
Yeah.
So we're going to do something similar.
We're going to try to find the best materials that we have got in the kitchen to help preserve some apple mummies.
Here we are.
Shall we have a look at what we got?
Yeah, so for this experiment, you could use... Oh, excuse me. Got my mummy wraps there. All right, so this is what we're using. We've got some apple slices. I've already sort of pre-cut some bits of apple here. And then I've got some salt. We're going to use salt as our preservative. And I've also got some little strips of bandage, but you could use kitchen roll if you wanted to. And then over here, we've got some dishes. Just move all this closer so you can see what's going on. Now, this is an experiment, so we want to make some controls. What's a control?
So a control is something that you use to compare your experiment to. So for a control, you don't do anything to it, right? You just kind of leave it as it is. You don't add anything. You leave it, and then you can compare it in the future.
Yeah, because the idea for this experiment is we want to see the effects of preserving something. So here we have just a simple apple slice all by itself. So this is a control. And then I'm going to take another apple slice. But this time I'm going to wrap it in some bandage. And I'm going to put this in this dish. So now we know if we then leave this for a while, we'll know what would happen to our apple slices with very little done to them. But I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to use salt. So we've got one apple slice here. I'm going to just cover in salt, our preservative.
Now, there's a key here. You've got to make sure it completely covers it in salt.
Yeah, definitely. And then I'm going to get our linen, our bandage. And we're going to mummify this piece of apple as well. Cover it up.
What are we going to cover
You can
this
do
one
it.
in?
You can do it. You can take a lot more time and care than I am.
Yeah.
And then we're going to cover this one in salt as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we will now know in a few days' time what happens when you preserve something in salt with bandages and without bandages.
Now, it's best if you leave this for a week.
Yeah.
We actually started this experiment 4 days ago, but we are going to leave it for a full week. We're actually going to show you the full results in Friday's show, because by then it will be a week. But let us show you what we've done, what our setup is for the full experiment.
Yeah, so these are actually these are our controls that we set up 4 days ago. This is our salt preservation, but we've done two other materials as well. This is bicarbonate of soda, and this is vinegar, which smells absolutely rank here in the studio.
It's strong.
Very strong indeed. But yeah, we're going to leave these for a full 7 days. So we're going to look at these. We're going to unwrap our mummified apple slices on Friday's episode.
Yeah. So yeah, have a go at this. And if you do get that experiment started, or if you decide you want to have a bit of a giggle, wrapping up some of your favourite teddies, take a picture, send us a photo. helloletsgolive@gmail.com.
If you do decide to do the experiment, it might be a good idea to record what your apple looks like at the beginning of the experiment. And you might even want to weigh the apple slices, because it'd be interesting to see at the end of the experiment if they've changed weight and why that might be.
Good idea. In the live chat, we've got a joke from Cosmo and Milo.
Okay.
They say, what's a mummy's favourite music?
Mamma Mia?
ABBA, good shout. Actually, it's rap music.
Hey!
They're wrapped up.
Nice. Like it very good.
Good work, you lot. Good work.
And
should we do an awkward selfie?
Well, I just want to say we need to make sure that these go in a safe place, first of all.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so when you do your experiment, you want to make sure they are inside a cupboard, somewhere where it's warm and dry, away from pets, and where you prepare food.
Yeah, because the ancient Egyptians would keep their mummies protected inside a big decorative box called a sarcophagus.
Like Dave's, kind of. A little bit
show
like
you an
Dave's.
official sarcophagus. There you go. And yes, Dave was also inside a little sarcophagus in the corner. So yeah, put it somewhere it can't be disturbed by people or pets.
Now let's do an awkward selfie, though.
Now let's do an awkward selfie. All right, do you want to take Dave?
Yeah, can I?
Shall we do
Come here, mate.
Our giant pyramid?
I think we've got to.
Yes.
If you are new to the show, this is when we give you a chance to grab someone with a camera and take a silly photo for us. Okay, I'm holding it here, and we're going to do an awkward selfie. Oh, look, it's Mummy Dave.
Close this up for Dave as well.
Oh, his box.
There you go.
His sarcophagus. Okay, here we go.
Here it is.
Ready for awkward selfie? 1, 2, 3.
It's the awkward selfie. Hey! All right, cool. If you do take an awkward selfie, send us a picture. There is us on the old social medias. Tag us on Twitter and on Instagram. Come say hello. We'd love to see you.
Did you know that the ancient Egyptians, they didn't just mummify people?
No, they didn't.
No, they mummified animals too.
Yeah.
The mummified animals would be handed to priests who would then seal them inside tombs, and these were going to be gifts for the gods.
But why, I hear you ask?
Why would you mummify an animal for a god?
Lots of the gods of the ancient Egyptians believe that they had heads, the heads of animals. So let's have a look.
Oh, so that
Here
first one
are
over there.
3 of them.
That's Thoth. Thoth was the god of wisdom and had the head of an ibis bird. You can see Thoth there.
In the middle there, you've got Sekhmet, the goddess of war, fire, and medicine. She's got a lion as a head, and her breath was said to have created the desert. Wicked.
And then lastly, we have Anubis. Anubis here was the god of mummification, and he was the guide into the afterlife, and he had the head of a jackal. So there were 2,000 gods, but that's just 3 of them there, all with the heads of animals. And it was because of this, animals were therefore really important to the ancient Egyptians.
Yeah.
And animals were mummified and given as gifts to the gods, because the hope was that if the gods got a little gift, then they might answer their wishes and prayers.
And look after the pharaoh, of course, in the afterlife.
Yeah.
Maddie made a brilliant video about the mummification of animals. We've linked to it in the video description below. Have a watch.
It wasn't just pharaohs, though, you know, sort of like everybody, and anybody could like give a gift to the god if they wanted to. Yeah. But there's something we haven't done yet in this episode. What might that be?
What might it be? What's that?
We've done a quiz.
Dance along, come on.
You mean pyramid?
And a little pyramid.
Dave, do you want to dance along?
And a great pyramid. And a little pyramid. All right, enough of that. Enough of that fun and games.
We have got an animal mummy quiz for you. We're going to show you some mummified animals, and what you have to do is think what animal might have been turned into a mummy. Before we start, though, it's important to say that nowadays we might think the idea of mummifying an animal as kind of wrong, but remember the ancient Egyptians believed in very different things to us, and to them, pleasing the gods was one of the most important things they could possibly do.
Yeah, it's really important for their culture. Okay, let's start with an easy one. Okay, so the question is, what has been turned into a mummy? Ready?
What do you think? What do you think has been turned into a mummy here? That's it. I think we can all get that one. That is a cat.
Yeah, I preempted the ding. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Like, you'll get that one. You'll get that one.
Cats were like Egyptian royalty. They were the most special animal to the ancient Egyptians, and because of that, they made very popular gifts. Very popular.
Next up.
Okay, what do you think this
is this? What animal has been turned into a mummy? Tricky, this.
I think just go with a shape.
Yeah.
Just go with a simple shape there, and it might give you the answer.
That one is
a fish.
It is indeed a fish, and maybe it was mummified to provide food for the journey into the afterlife.
Yeah.
Or perhaps it was a gift for the cat god called Bastet. Bastet.
Yeah, that would make sense. Why not? You know, give one of your favourite gods a little fish. Be nice. What about this one? Okay, what do you think's been turned into a mummy here? What animal might that have been?
What is that? It's very long, very thin.
It was a snake. Yeah. So sometimes worshippers might have given the offering of a snake in the hope that it would protect them from snake bites.
Oh, okay. So it's a protection thing as well. Okay, got it. We've got 2 more.
Okay.
Here is your penultimate one. What animal?
I think I know what that one is.
Into that mummy.
Go on, tell us in the live chat if you're watching. What do you think that is?
I think you'll get that one.
It's a dog.
It's a dog. Yeah. That one's a dog.
A couple of people are doing really well in the live chat.
Henry and Esme got cat.
Nice well
done. Lex and a whole bunch of people said fish. We've got Bridget and Miranda saying snake, and a whole load of you as well. Nice work.
Okay, let's see how you do on our last one. This is our last quiz question for you.
This one's a tricky one, you lot.
What do you think this is? What has been turned into an animal mummy here?
Okay. So we're going to give you a clue, right? This was a prized gift, usually for Sobek, the god of waters.
And what sort of animals, what big animals might have been in the River Nile? At the time, the answer is a crocodile. What?
Yeah, look at that again. It's a crocodile.
That is so impressive. You know, sometimes not everybody could get hold of crocodiles or different animals. They would actually pack little animals that they could find, like mice, and they would make them look like crocodiles. They'd actually try and trick the gods.
No
They'd
way.
be like, here's a mummified crocodile. Not really.
Don't try tricking the dogs.
Yeah.
The dogs. Not a good idea. Well done to Claire and a whole bunch of you said dog. Sam and Katie got croc and a whole load of you as well. Good work. As did Alaya and Phoebe and Izzy and Jasmine.
Thank you so much for playing along.
So good. We're not done yet though. A couple of last little things before we say goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, it has been an absolutely fascinating look back in time. And it's so interesting to learn about people who lived in the past and how the things they believed in affected the way they lived.
Yeah. On Wednesday's show, that's our next show, we're going to be looking at what life might have been like for the ancient Egyptians. And we're going to look at and we're going to recreate some of their best and most amazing discoveries.
Before we read out a few names in the live chat, some people do ask us how they can support the show. And we now have a lovely little team. We've got Jess, who helps us with production assistance, and we have Rob, who does our graphics. And you can help support us if you like.
There are two ways you can do that. The first is we've set up a coffee page, and that's just for a little tip. So if you just want to say a thank you for the show of the week, you can go on there and normally you can buy us a coffee, but this week we've done it. You can grab us a scarab beetle.
Scarab beetles were considered little good luck tokens to the ancient Egyptians, and they were a symbol of the sun god Ray. So if you want to treat us to a scarab beetle each, then that would be really nice. Thank you very much to the grown-ups.
The second way to support us is by joining the Let's Go Live Patreon. It's our little family. And what we do is we post colouring sheets and certificates and pop up there and ask you questions and stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so much to our monthly patrons. We could not be keeping Let's Go Live up without you. So thank you so much for your support.
Thank you.
All right then. Shall we do some goodbyes?
Yeah, let's
Who's
do
with
some
us?
goodbyes. Who is with us in the live
Goodbye
chat?
to Lucas, Ruby and Christopher. Goodbye.
Matthew and Amelia.
Bye. Goodbye to Holly, who's in Invicate.
Ariana and Rosie and Elizabeth and Maisie. Bye.
Goodbye to Peggy P from Peckham.
Wilf and Tom in Glasgow.
Goodbye to Momoko and Tippy in Snowy Bath.
Oh, nice. Phoebe, Jane, May and Anne watching in America. Hello.
Goodbye, Anna, Maddie and Harriet. Bye, you three.
Goodbye to Angeli.
Goodbye to Rafe and Cole, who are watching live for the first time today. Hey, Rafe and Cole, thanks for joining us.
And also, hello and goodbye to everyone at Orchards Junior School who are
Hello,
watching
everyone.
along. A couple of quick birthdays. Tess is 7 today. Patrick, 7 today. Tim, 6 today. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Our next show is on Wednesday, so we will see you then for more on ancient Egypt, papyrus and hieroglyphics.
I am really looking forward to it. Until then,
stay curious.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.